Welcome back to the channel. Hope everybody had a great week. And if you're new to the channel, what we're working on is an 86 Chevrolet K30. And we converted it from a cabin chassis to a dually, so the frame had to be shortened. And what we want to talk about a little bit today is this weld right here. This is where we did it. So we were asked a question a few weeks ago, why we cut and welded the frame we did. And when there's a video of us chopping this frame, if you haven't seen it, you might want to go watch it. It'll probably be a little more detailed, at least on how we did it. Not necessarily why. So that's what this video is going to kind of be about. So just to walk you back through what we did, we cut 3 inches out of it to convert it from a cabin chassis frame to a dually frame, to get our cab to axle down to 57 from 60. And all we did was take a speed square and we scribed our 2 lines. And it's important to use a scribe, or at least a sharp soapstone, you know, like an old friend of mine always said, the finer the line, the finer the cut. And that's absolutely true. If you're drawing these lines with a regular old Sharpie or a paint pen or anything like that, where your mark is 1/8 of an inch wide, you're opening yourself up to all kinds of error. So you just want to get some good fine lines. We picked a spot where we either weren't going to cut out holes we needed or there weren't any holes at all. And we got good marks. We measured between them, made sure they were parallel. We got good cuts, and then we butted it right together. No gap at all. Then we welded it on the inside of the frame, all the way down on both sides. And then we came back from the outside and ground basically all the way through the frame material down to the weld metal on the inside. So then when you weld this back up, it'll probably take you a couple of passes. You don't need to try to get it in one. You know it's 100% welded, 100% penetration, 100% weld metal. And you know, if you don't have any porosity in there, which you shouldn't, if you do, grind it out, fix it. And you don't want to have any undercut, which is easy enough to fix too. If you get some, just weld over it, fix it, sand it back down. But in the end, this thing should be as strong or stronger than it was before you cut it. So this person asked why we didn't use a fish plate. And in my opinion, which, you know, is worth whatever you think it is, a fish plate is used in circumstances where you may have removed some of this meat. You would weaken the frame. You may not even have a weld seam in here, but if you had notched it for any reason, a fish plate would be the solution to put the strength back in the frame. Since we didn't remove any strength from the frame, we don't need a fish plate. Another thing to consider with a fish plate is when you weld a fish plate on here, you're adding a whole bunch of weld. And if your weld isn't quote unquote perfect, and I use that loosely, just welds don't have to be, you know, machine welds to do their job. But if you have a bunch of undercut, for instance, you are creating a failure point. That's a place for a crack to start. So anytime you're adding inches of weld, if it's not good, you could be creating a failure point where there may not have been one otherwise. Which leads us to the next thing, the Z-cut. We've probably all seen it. There's plenty of videos on YouTube, people doing Z-cuts and all kind of crazy things on these frames. And again, this kind of goes back to adding inches of weld. I guess there's different theories about why you would want to do it, but if you're worried about your weld or welding in general on this frame, then you probably shouldn't be adding a bunch of inches of weld. Because as we've already discussed, this weld is as strong or stronger than the rest of the frame. So you don't need any more weld. I feel like people that aren't confident in welding tend to over weld things for whatever reason. And that's usually not the best solution. Bub thinks that a Z-cut at least in theory, you're getting some support from this, I guess, this bottom leg, if you can imagine it. But we agree that it's not really doing anything. It's kind of a mind game. So what you're really doing is just adding a bunch of inches and potential failure points. And not to take too deep of a dive into welding, because you could talk about that for a month. But if you get down into the metallurgy of this, the weld metal, again, is as strong or stronger than the frame, because it's thicker, right? It's welded on the inside and out, so it's thicker than the metal. And it's, you know, as good or better grade of material as the frame is, so that makes it stronger. That's where that comes from. What's not stronger, however, is the heat affected zone, which you can't see it because this is blasted and painted. But if you've done any welding, you've seen that little purple area right next to your weld. That metal's been superheated like the weld metal, and then it cooled off, and it's marginally harder, more brittle, I guess, prone to cracking. The frames aren't made out of anything crazy. It's not unobtainium or Inconel or Castalloy. So that's not a huge issue, but it is something to consider when you add a bunch of weld inches into this joint. So that's kind of my take on this. Keep the weld inches at a minimum. I don't see any point in cutting a 45 or a Z-cut. If your frame is still the same as it was, you don't need a fish plate. You know, if you're really worried about it, I think probably the best solution, if you're not confident in this weld, would be to box it. Now you're just welding along this edge. You're still subject to, again, more weld inches equals more failure points if you have any flaws in that weld. But you'd be removing the weld, the heat, and all of that from this load-bearing side. You'd be creating another load-bearing side, basically. So I think that would be the safest alternative, to just taking your time and getting a good, clean weld without any undercut or porosity or slag in it, which really ain't that hard to do. You guys can do it. I have the utmost faith in you. Just take your time and make sure it's good before you move on from it, and you won't have to worry about it anymore. And I think that is why these manufacturers basically forbid you from welding or drilling on a frame. It's not because this is some sort of exotic metal that is going to crack unless you do some crazy preheat and post-heat treatment to it. It's because when you weld and you put a bad weld on there, and we've all seen it, there's potential for a crack to start from some undercut or porosity, or, you know, trapping a bunch of slag or whatever in there. It scares a lot of people when it probably shouldn't, and I think it all circles back to these manufacturers forbidding it for the last probably better than 50 years. So don't be scared of it. Just take your time, put a good weld in here, and you won't have any problems. And if you are doing a C-notch back here and you end up just putting a little notch in it without rebuilding the top, then yeah, a fish plate probably be in order, or boxing it in, one of the two. Just make sure, no matter what you're doing when you're welding on a frame, that you just get a good weld. Don't, you know, if you get any undercut, fix it. If you have any porosity, grind it out, fix it, and you won't have any problems. The 77's done exactly like this, to a T. I mean, it's not sanded off or anything, which, you know, on that note, if you're building a show truck or something and you don't want to see this weld, sand it off. You're not going to hurt anything. If anything, it may help you spot a little bit of undercut here and there. And then you just take your MIG and zap it, and then sand that down until it's slick. You know, you don't want to be grinding into this to get rid of it. That's not the answer. You want to fix it with weld metal, but sanding it off will show you any flaws you have. Make sure these edges are good and solid. There's no low spots anywhere, and then you know you've got it. But the 77 is done just like this. As you all know, it's got a welding bed on it. It's loaded down with weight and has no problems. So welding one up like this is, in my mind, the best way to do it. It's not just an acceptable way, it's the preferred way. But it all hinges on welding. Take your time, make it good. So I think that's going to do it for this one. Hopefully we answered all your questions. If you have more, by all means, hit us up in the comments. I'm sure there's 100 things we didn't cover. We either neglected to think of, or again with the welding, just didn't really want to dive into. But we appreciate all you guys' comments and questions. We try to answer them all best we can. And show our appreciation for the new guys. We do a tool giveaway every month. This month, we're giving away a set of Craftsman ratchet wrenches. And to get entered, all you have to do is subscribe to the channel. If you're not already, go in the comments and type subscribed. We are over 900 subscribers now, so we are bumping the 1,000 subscriber threshold. And we appreciate everybody that's subscribed. If you're not subscribed, we would love it if you could help us get over that 1,000 mark. So we do a raffle basically every month with a comment picker. We draw a random comment, subscribed comment. And next month we're giving away a Lowe's gift card, which is a little unusual for us. It's usually a full-on tool, but it was a suggestion by one of you guys to do gift cards so you guys can pick the tool you want or put it towards something else. Heck, you could even buy something that wasn't a tool, which would be a little bit strange, but you're free to do that if you want to. And we appreciate you watching. If you enjoyed it, do us a favor and hit the like button, and we'll catch you in the next one.